Hmm. Gotta make sure this is muted. But they want it to not. There we go. Okay, let's let everybody in.
Oh, I didn't realize you had to mute that.
Here we go. Hey, everybody. Happy Monday. Happy day one of our content creation workshop. Super excited for the week ahead. Obviously, we got great response from everyone. Creating content on social media can be one of those things that paralyzes people and leads people to not creating any content whatsoever. So we're going to be diving into a lot of content over these next 3 days. As always, hop into the comments, say hi, let us know where you're tuning in from. We love hearing where people are watching from, tuning in from, and just a couple pieces of housekeeping before we dive in. If you've been a part of previous workshops, just drop a Y or a yes in the chat. If you have not, and this is your first time with us, type an N or a no. Just we like to see if who's a returning person, who's new. Okay, good. So we're seeing a mixture of new and returning people. So welcome to the new people, and welcome back to the returning people. So for those that don't know who we are Nancy and Scott Aaron. We are a husband and wife team. We run an amazing business together that has multiple facets to it. One being we teach people how to create content to really expand their business, their brand, their visibility, their expertise. And this is a workshop that we typically do 2 times a year, this being the first of 2 times. So we're really happy that you chose to join this one early in the year to get ahead of it. The other thing that we want to let people know, if you have not been a part of our workshops, we're big on accountability. So there will be accountability assignments at the end of each session. So obviously we want people not only to learn from us, but we want people to then apply what it is that they need to learn from us moving forward. For the accountability, we always like to reward people for taking action. So there will be prizes given out all this week. We'll be picking 2 homework winners every single day. So tomorrow at the end of day 2, you will obviously have announced the first 2 homework winners. The same thing on Wednesday. There'll be 2 homework winners there. So again, there are plenty of chances. And again, it's very simple. You do the accountability assignment and get it in before the 12:30 p.m. deadline for the next day. You're qualified to win one of our prizes. So just want to put that out there. Also, we are also big on staying in front of you guys. So you will be getting a replay email from us every single morning at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you don't have to go scratching and clawing for it. We send it out every single morning. And just like our previous workshops, there is a replay page. So the link that you're going to use to watch day number 1, you can watch day number 2 and day number 3. So all you have to do is just save that link, just leave it open, just refresh it, and you'll see the new recording there. So you guys will be getting that 7 a.m. every single morning. There'll also be some reminder emails out. We always send an hour reminder, a 15-minute reminder, a We Are Live reminder. So don't report those emails as spam because that will cut off any and all communication to us, which means you won't be able to reply to us. You won't be able to ask questions. So just know that you'll be getting a bunch of emails all this week. We've changed the format a little bit, which we're going to go into more tomorrow. Again, as far as how we're changing the structure of this on the back end of the training. So stay tuned for all that information tomorrow. Again, the education, the information that you're going to have is going to be the same. The other thing is, if you have not yet joined the Facebook group, Nancy is going to drop the link in the chat. The homework thread for the accountability assignment will be posted in that Facebook group. So if you have not yet joined, make sure you click on that link. Request to join will approve you. That's also where some of the bonus recordings will be stored. So even though there's a replay page, I'm also going to create a guides section at the top where you'll be able to watch the replays back on there. And then anyone that does need the workbook, it's actually in the files section in that Facebook group as well. It was also emailed out, but if you need it, all you have to do is pop into the Facebook group, click on the files, and you'll see the PDF right there that you can download right to your computer. We'll also be sending that workbook out during the replay emails tomorrow, and so on and so on. So you're not going to have any means of not getting it. It's going to be right in front of you. So just wanted to get that stuff out there ahead of time. So that's the housekeeping. Now, why we love teaching this workshop is because we believe in working smarter and not harder. A lot of people really struggle not only with the concept of content creation, but content creation consistency. I would say that is one of the number one reasons why a lot of businesses do fail, is because you're not present enough on social media for people to actually learn what it is that you do. Now, for those that are on here right now, drop in the comments below on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being super consistent, 0 being not consistent at all. How would you rate yourselves on a scale of 1 to 10 of being consistent with creating and posting content on social media? Okay, so I'm seeing some 1s, some 5s, some 0s, some 10s. Okay, so the idea of this is to take everybody, no matter where they are, and go from where you are to be a 10 by the end of these sessions. Now, what I will tell you, and Nancy would say the same thing, we have the utmost confidence that if you guys really pay attention and you come to all 3 days, because these are layered, everything that we're going to be going over today bleeds into tomorrow and bleeds into Wednesday. So once you have all of those concepts in place, you'll be a well-oiled content creation machine. Now, as far as creating content, drop in the comments below. Let us know what you do. What is the main core focus of your business, or what kind of business are you running? Drop it in the chat below. Are you service-based, real estate, networking, career coach? Awesome. So the first step, obviously, is getting clarity on what it is that you do. Because when you know what you do and you know what kind of business that you run, that will actually then allow you to start creating content that's focused on that business. Now, unlike other workshops where I do a lot of the talking, this one does most of the talking during this workshop. I will be chiming in. I'll be her little Robin to her Batman this week. So I will be chiming in a bit just because I have my own thoughts and feelings around content creation. But this is her jam. You know, she wrote an Amazon best-selling book, How to Build Your Personal Brand on Social Media. A lot of the concept of what's being taught is actually going to be taught this week from her book. So this is what she does. She's worked with some of the top online business brands out there behind the scenes with some of the biggest names that obviously NDA wise we can't mention, but she has seen a lot of some amazing things behind some of those businesses. And she brings all of those things that she's learned and the skill sets that she has and everything to this week's training, which we are going to actually teach you. So with that being said, the name of the book is How to Build Your Personal Brand on Social Media. You can find it on Amazon. If you actually just go on Amazon and you just type in Nancy Evans, it'll pop right up. You'll be able to see it there. It's a beautiful orange yellow book cover. You can't miss it. So with that, I'm going to turn over to Nancy so we can dive into day number 1.
Awesome. If you can set up the screen, that would be awesome. And Scott said it was a best-selling book. It's not. I actually silently launched it.
It was a new release. It was a top release in one of the categories.
Okay,
yeah.
awesome.
So you didn't know that it was.
Yeah. So no, I appreciate any and all support. So if you guys have that book, or if you're gonna get that book, really appreciate it. All right. So we're just gonna pull up. We got a hide the video panel and a couple of other things just to make sure you guys can see all things. So if you bear with us 1 second.
So if you guys can see our screen clearly, just type a Y or a yes in the chat. Just want to make sure. Beautiful. Okay,
Perfect.
awesome.
All right, excellent. So, like Scott said, content creation was one of those things where I kept asking all of my clients, and, really their number one pain point and problem was, I'm not sure what kind of content to create. And I worked years ago, right? Like Scott mentioned, for a lot of different personal brands, right? People who were professionals, real estate agents, coaches, consultants, right? They did lots of different things where they were working with people. And they all struggled with actually figuring out, 1 second, we're going to pull that up, but they were really struggling to figure out, what type of content that they should be posting. And so after, again,
For a second, Nance, what is going on here?
Oh, can you guys hear me still?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, we just hit share.
Hold on. I don't know why that came up.
All right, give us 1
All right, if you guys can see the screen again, and I'm trying to go backwards, that's why.
Oh, okay, it's okay. All right, so if you guys can share in the chat if you guys can see the slideshow. Okay, perfect. All right, so anyway, so that's what we're going to be digging into. And, one of the things that I love to do, it's kind of like the Mary Poppins quote, and all that must be done, there should be an element of fun. So if we can make content creation fun, let's make it fun, okay? If it's something that we should be doing consistently for our business, let's go there. Okay. So today we are really going to dig into and get clear on the content that you should be creating for your audience. So I really want you guys to put your thinking caps on, right? Like we always say, if you have a million tabs open right now, please close them all and stay super present and focused to make sure that you get the most out of this. Because honestly, guys, we can have almost like an entire, quarter of content to a year planned out by the end of this training if we really stay focused.
Now, the other thing really quickly, scale of 1 to 10, 10 being super clear, 0 being not clear at all. How clear are you on the type of content that you need to create for your ideal audience on social media? So 5, 0, 8, 5, 10, 8. Awesome. Okay. So again, the idea is to take everybody from where they are to a 10 by the end of this week.
Okay, excellent. So, the other thing that we like to add, obviously, technology is happening right before our eyes, and a lot of people are using AI. So we will be adding some AI prompts. For example, if you use programs like ChatGPT, different things, we will be mentioning them. Do not feel that you need to use them. However, we wanted to make sure, again, to make sure that we're relevant and staying up with the times, that we do give you some tips there as well. And then we do ask, please respect the opinions and views of others, right? There's a judgment-free zone. So if people love to use AI and you just don't, please respect, again, the opinions of others. Okay. And we are entering a judgment-free zone. So the first thing that we need to really self-reflect on in our business, right, is why the heck do I need to create consistent content for my audience, right? So you might be, again, I saw on here that we have several realtors, we've got several people who obviously have service-based businesses. We've got people who have product-based businesses. But the reason why we need to create content for your audience is because it does a lot of different things. And the cool thing is it does it for free in most cases, right? So you're able to build relationships through your content, right? A lot of times we'll post things and people get excited and they're like, oh my gosh, I can totally relate to them. They're speaking right to me, and you're able to connect. It gives you the ability to share your expertise, right? Talking about topics or sharing on things that you know about helps showcase that. So people are more, obviously likely to hire you because they trust you and they can see that. It also helps to increase your visibility, right? One thing that Scott told me years ago, whenever I was kind of like boo-hooey, I was starting my coaching practice and I said, no one's hiring me. And Scott said, who have you told? Like, there's no content. You're not posting anything. People aren't mind readers. And it's just a funny
Well,
story.
the big thing is that when someone visits any one of your social media platforms, whether it be LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, it should be 100% crystal clear what it is that you do, what business that you have, and how you serve and help people. And if there's any disparity there where there's any head scratching going on whatsoever, it's going to hurt the potential that you have for growing your business. Because if your audience is confused, it's going to leave them in a place where they're not quite sure if they should reach out because they're not even quite sure what it is that you do.
Yep, absolutely. So, we want to increase that visibility. We want to attract your potential customers. We want to increase your brand awareness, and we want to stay top of mind. How many times, in fact, I used to give so many different examples how people would reach out to Scott after seeing something he posted a while ago, right? Could be months or even
Still.
years. And people go, oh my gosh, I know that you're the LinkedIn guy, because you post content on LinkedIn and I need help with LinkedIn. Happens all the time. Okay. So, one quote that I added here, and it's really funny because when I originally, really was following Andy Crestodina, I was super excited. I was kind of like, fangirling a little bit because he wrote the book Content Chemistry, and he was just such a great resource on all things when it came to content. And he just, was connected to a lot of great minds. Well, since then, and actually initially following him, Scott and I did a podcast interview with him. Scott actually was a guest, featured on one of the articles and the blogs that he did. So anyway, it was really, really, cool to actually get to meet him. But anyway, the quote from Andy Crestodina is, whether we are looking for jet engines or consulting services, a wedding DJ, or a local florist, we are all more than likely ever to do research online before making a decision. Every day we seek advice from our experts.
Even when you're going to marry someone, you end up using social media for that too, right, Nancy?
Oh yeah. So I actually years ago, right, met Scott. And when we first started dating, heck yeah, I searched him. Went on Google. I was like, this guy's like everywhere. He's posting on social media, and really had no idea what he did. But, obviously if I would have really, watched all of the content, I would have known. But anyway, my whole point is everyone, for the most part, is really online. And the fact that we get to control, what we get to put out there and our personal brand as we build it, is really exciting. So the other fact is that, 96% of companies recognize that they need to focus their efforts on having a presence on social media. Okay. And guys, this was a quote, I think, from, a couple years ago. And here's the thing. It's the truth. Like, there are so many companies. In fact, we're in the process right now of fine tuning our book, which is going to be released, at the end of
March 26th.
Yep. March 26th, which is the Feel Good Business Model, where we share a little bit about how we run our businesses. But the whole point is, you can't stay stuck in the old way of doing things, right? Cold calling and doing all the old stuff that used to work, like in traditional business. We've got to catch up, and we've got to be digital. We've got to be online, right? So all those companies, realize that, yes, we need to focus on having a presence on social media. So the other fact that we want to share, because I know many of you, right, are all different places. Some of you are starting from scratch, which, is the truth. Everyone starts from scratch, right? Starts from zero. And some people might have been posting for a while, and you just want to maybe optimize or revamp or come up with some new ideas for some content to be posted. But everyone starts from zero. So do not think that, well, I shouldn't put myself out there because I have no likes on my pages, or I don't have any followers, or guys, we all start from zero. It's the snowball, right? As we get going and the more we post, the more things grow.
And I love this fact because so many people end up beating themselves up. And the fact is, you all need to give yourselves some grace when you're starting this process, and realizing that everyone is starting from the same place. And even if you are established, you're still maybe reinventing yourself.
Absolutely. So, the goals for our content, because here's the other thing, right? With AI being so prevalent, a lot of people feel like, ooh, well, I can just type a couple prompts in AI and then just use that content. It's not good enough. Okay. We want to make sure that we are not putting out just boring generic content, but people want to hear from you. People want to hear your perspective. You are, as the expert in your space or whatever it is that you do, you are a thought leader. Okay. So we want our content to not just be boring. We want it to attract, to interact. We want it to connect. We want it to teach, and we want it to help. Okay. We want it to do any of those things.
So if all this is resonating so far, just drop a Y or a yes in the chat. We just want to make sure everybody is with us so far. We always love going over, just kind of laying down the foundation before we dive in.
Absolutely. And, like I said, more than ever. Okay. People need quality, value added content. Do not be generic. Okay. Add your own spin. In fact, I get the question all the time. Well, can I be kind of goofy or be myself in posting? Yes. Okay. In fact, in our agency, I actually work with a lot of health insurance brokers. Okay. And guys, I've a lot that are kind of stuffy and a little bit, very professional and just want to kind of be very cut and dry. And then I've got people on the other side who are kind of fun and goofy and apply things to their life and share stories. And,
Relatability.
obviously, like, they have other things going on outside of just work. Those people are so successful. They get loves, likes. In fact, they've even closed huge companies because no one else is doing what they do. Okay. So have fun with it. My goal, in fact, and I wrote, wrote about this in my book, I want people to show up authentically. Okay. Be you, be yourself. Okay. We all have little goofy quirks, and that's okay. And the thing is we want to attract more people, who are like us and more people who are, similar in the way, as far as core values in the way that they show up and so on and so forth. So be yourself, because I also promise the content creation process is a lot easier when you're able to do so. Okay. So don't pigeonhole yourself and make yourself too serious. So, there are different types of content and formats and channels, all different types of things that you can create, right? Lots. But for the sake of this workshop, we are going to focus on one type. Okay. Just regular posting. Okay. We're not going to talk about blogging. We're not going to talk about videos. We're not going to talk about podcasting. We are just going to talk about making simple posts each week.
And the reason why we're doing this twofold. Number one, we want to get you guys into forward motion right away, where we're not pumping the brakes and we don't want to make things too challenging. But number two, good old-fashioned regular posting still converts really, really well when it's done the right way.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as far as intentions, I do want you guys thinking of this workshop, and I want you walking away with a framework, with a workflow. Okay. I think the book Atomic Habits, I forget the author. Yeah, it totally left my mind, but the book,
read a lot of books.
yeah, we read a lot of books, but the book, The Atomic Habits, was just so fantastic because in it, James Clear, thank you, Van. So in the book, he actually talks about, not having goals and instead having systems, right? If we want to repeat things, if we want to be consistent, if we want to stay on track and we really want to build momentum, we need to have those systems in place. So I want you to walk away after these 3 days with a system in place. Okay. So we're going to also talk about fine tuning that throughout the workshop as well. So today we're going to be really diving into the type of content you should be focused on creating. So remember, we sent out the workbook, whether you guys print it or whether you just have a notebook and a blank piece of paper, guys, that's absolutely fine. Okay. Let's keep it very simple. The things that we're going to go over, again, I don't want to overcomplicate things. We're going to try to keep it as simple as possible because again, we're just sticking with the basics and we don't need to overthink. I mean, when it comes to content creation, I think so many people just go, there's so many avenues. There's so many different, we're going to hone in. Okay. We're going to hone in and we're going to keep it very simple. So that's the goal. All right. So it's time to brainstorm now your zone of genius. And whenever I say zone of genius, I really want you to think about what is it that you want to be known for? Okay. And whenever I say that, I'm just going to give an example, right? So Scott.
Well, let me ask you guys, what is one of my zones of genius? Type it in the chat. Like when you
for
think
those of you who have worked
when, when you think of me, yeah, there you go. LinkedIn.
Yep.
So it's so important. So let's turn the question around to all of you. Type in the chat. What is no hair? That's also very true. What is one thing that you want to be known for? Or that you are known for in your circle? Just one thing. This is so networking for women. Behavioral change. Awesome. Hugs. That's also good. Vision, truth, career growth. So these are all things. So you have to think about, okay, if this is what I am known for and what I want to be known for, my content has to match that and it has to back it up. So if anyone was to Google me, most of the content you're going to see is derived around LinkedIn strategies, which is going to continue to position me as the expert in the space that we're in.
Yep, absolutely. Now, that is your big zone of genius. It does not mean you can't talk about different topics, and that's what we're going to introduce in just a second. But whenever we talk about your zone of genius, it's really going to be, right, what your brand is going to consistently amplify or create content around, right? It's kind of going to be the heart of everything. Okay. So, again, we've got a nice range of all different things. I see health and wellness. So again, that is the heart of all of your content. Okay. Next. All right. So why is it important to stay focused with your content? We always say, in fact, I think Donald Miller, who is the writer of a lot of books, but Marketing Made Simple is one of my favorites. He said, let's not make people burn calories trying to figure out how to work with us or what we do, right? To figure out what we do. So we need to stay focused and we need to stay consistent with our content overall, because it should not be rocket science trying to figure out what you do. Okay. Quick example. I actually worked, years ago. In fact, I didn't work. I was in a mastermind. I was in a program with another person. And I had asked her, what is it that you do? And she said, yeah, I'm in PR and I do, all these different PR things for people. And when I went to her Instagram, because I was kind of excited, I was like, great, well, now we have a PR contact and someone that we can refer. I went to her Instagram and it was no lie. It was all pictures of her in a bikini.
Booty pics.
It was all booty pics. And I was like, girl, like, what is it that you really do? Because this is confusing me. And all of her social media was so all over the place. So it was so confusing. And do you think that's someone now that I'm going to refer because, like someone needed help with PR?
It's not professional.
No. Okay. And she was all over the place. Like, why not post about your business and what it is that you're doing? So it's very confusing. So we want to help make it easy. And we want to help them understand what we do and what we offer. Okay. So if you are stuck, meaning if you're sitting here and going, oh, I don't really know what my zone of genius is, think about 1 to 2 topics that you'd like to be known for. Okay. Meaning like, let's say you were hired to speak up on stage about something. What's a topic that you find really interesting? In fact, I know recently there was a coach and consultant. He used to do a lot of business strategy. He's now all in on AI. In fact, he's like, I love it. I eat, sleep, and breathe it. I want to learn everything there is about it. And he pivoted, and his big zone of genius now is AI. It's exciting because before, where business strategy came up, there's a lot of people in that sea, in that ocean of people. But now he's really narrowed down and niched down into AI in business strategy. And now he's the first person I think of, whenever I actually think about AI in business. So think about a topic you're excited, to stay up to date with. You can see yourself building offers around this category. Okay. So start there. Okay. So when we think about like the breakdown of how we're actually going to get to creating the content, like I said, your zone of genius is the heart. Okay. So who you are, in fact, if you were to write a book on your expertise or what it is that you do, that's your zone of genius. Okay. Now, underneath your zone of genius is going to be something we call content buckets. And I use that interchangeably with the word content topics. Okay.
So just to give an example, if LinkedIn is my zone of genius, my topics could be optimizing your LinkedIn profile, networking properly on LinkedIn, creating LinkedIn content, new tools, and things added to LinkedIn strategy. So I have my overarching zone of genius, which is LinkedIn, and then I have my content bucket / topics, which are basically minor things that lead into that zone of genius. So if everybody is clear on that in that example, just drop a Y or a yes in the chat. Just want to make sure you guys are with us so far. Okay, good.
Yeah, we're going to give you some examples of all of this. So, bear with us. We're going to go through a few different ideas. There is no exact science to this. That's kind of the fun of it. And your topics could change. But again, you want to remember that the topics should evolve around, right? They should circulate around that zone of genius. Okay. So that from there, from your content topics, then we create individual posts. Okay. So we're going to go into some of this a little bit deeper. So whenever we talk about content buckets, what are some fun ways to introduce the topic? What are some ways that you can showcase your expertise, share social proof? What does the reader need to know if they were learning about a topic? So for example, I mentioned the AI expert. He might share some of the top famous, AI tools. He might share different ways to use AI tools. Okay. So, every time we're not so anyway, that's the big thing to note, okay? So you could call it, and again, people call content topics, content buckets, content pillars. There's a lot of different, interchangeable names for it. We call it content topics or content buckets. But again, it's just think of it like a subcategory, right? It's a couple different subcategories. All right. So some content bucket examples. Now I do, no, just yeah, back. All right, it's fine. Just leave it. So anyway, I do share, in fact, in the previous slide, I had a little AI prompt, which is an idea of, if you're really not sure, it's okay. Okay. Yeah, it's down at the bottom. So if you're really not sure of the different categories or subtopics that you can talk about, you can actually go into ChatGPT and you can type in the prompt, give me 3 to 5 subcategories that I can talk about under the blank category. So for example, give me 3 to 5 subcategories I can talk about as it pertains to LinkedIn or, under the LinkedIn topic.
Drop a Y or a yes or an N or a no if you are or are not currently using ChatGPT at all. So I'm seeing a lot. Oh, awesome. I'm seeing a ton of yeses. Yeah, we are huge fans of ChatGPT. It's just if anyone has any questions or anything like that, just ask ChatGPT. Yeah, we love it too.
Yep, absolutely. So, the one thing that we're looking at here, so again, we wanted to give you a few different ideas and examples. So let's say we had a local bookstore, okay? And that bookstore, of course, their zone of genius can be books, right? Knowing about books. And so if they decide, okay, on their social media, they really want to put themselves out there, they want to be that main place to really build the book community and all that. Awesome, right? And then underneath of that are different topics, right? Content buckets or topics that they can talk about. So for example, each week they could post book recommendations or staff picks, and they could have a little video. Hey, these are favorite book of this week. Maybe they have a themed book list. Hey, these are books you must buy for the month of March, or, here's a bookstore tour, and actually do a little video, author interviews, and so much more. Community, right? Maybe they really want to hone in and be the one spot, the community, they can hold community events, local business spotlights, and so much more. Okay. So the other examples, right? And I gave the prompts here. So write me 3 to 5 content topic ideas along with individual copy for 2 posts for the 2 subcategories. Again, these prompts can be rewritten probably much simpler, but you can ask AI or you can ask ChatGPT to actually give you some topic ideas. All right, so the next I'm just showing you is a breakdown of what that actually could look like. Okay, so this is a sample post, book of the month. Here's our favorite book of the month. Are you ready to set your goals and achieve them? Awesome. Come in and check out the 12-week year. So again, that's just an example of it in action. So another example, okay, so birth worker. So if someone who is a birth worker and they really want to hone in a certain area, let's say they want to hone in specifically on just pregnancy. So in this category, they can talk about several different topics, prenatal, postpartum wellness, myth busting facts. Let's say if they were going to focus on birth practices, they can talk about birth education, client birth stories and testimonials. And just to give you an example of an individual post, right? 10 foods to eat during your first trimester. So just again, it's breaking it down from that hierarchy. Next, just using the example of a marketing strategist. Okay, let's say the marketing strategist focuses on online marketing, right? They want to be the expert in online marketing. So within there, okay, they focus on marketing tips and best practices, marketing tools, industry trends, case studies, success stories. Again, they could literally post these things each week and just repeat, right? Put it on repeat. Here's a little tip or a post, the more you know, top 5 marketing tips for the week. Okay. So next, fashion influencer, right? So again, just giving you some overall like content topic ideas, outfits, right? Fashion and lifestyle recommendations, fashion hacks, so on and so forth. Financial advisors, right? Financial planning tips, investment insights, market updates, retirement planning, personal finance FAQs, realtor. In fact, I always park here for like a second because you can have so much fun as a realtor, especially, right? If you're really honing in and farming a specific market, an area, you can really become a community like ambassador, right? You can be the person in the community. So as a realtor, tapping into the community as much as possible, doing things like local business spotlights. For example, you can tag local businesses each week and feature them and tag them. So obviously they get visibility, you get visibility, you get to support the community. Fun things to do in the area, so much more. Okay, so there's lots of fun things that you can post, but these are some ideas, obviously, as a realtor. Health and wellness, okay? Healthy lifestyle tips, recipe ideas, fitness and exercise inspiration, mindfulness, mental well-being, right?
So if all this is sinking in and starting to make sense, just drop a Y or a yes in the chat. We just want you guys to be very clear. You have your zone of genius, and then you have your content topics underneath of it.
Yeah. And keeping it very simple, guys. Like, again, I know someone had posted about a nonprofit up there, just talking about it, right? Like what it is that you do, educating people, right? Sharing people, information about the thing that you do. I mean, years ago, I read a book. It was a great book. Can't remember the exact title right now, but it was about a pool salesman who actually talked about posting content about, selling pools. And he just really educated people on all things pools, how to clean your pool, what's the best size pool to get for your yard, and literally that's all he talked about. It was just like the only topic. It was just pools. Okay. So you can definitely do that. Don't feel that you have to have 5 or 4. You can have 1, you could have 2, right? Content buckets that you talk about.
And I think that's a good point because a lot of people, it's not so much that they've pigeonholed themselves, is sometimes you try to do too much, which leads to, again, analysis paralysis. So the idea of it is to pick just 1 or 2 key focal areas, which is going to make your content creation that much easier because you're only focusing on just a couple things.
Yep. So, an example, just, giving you, using Scott as an example. So here's another thing, right? Scott also talks about other things, outside of LinkedIn. If you guys have ever followed him on Facebook, he posts like an inspirational or motivational quote every day from the heart, right? So he posts about that as well. And I think mindset as an entrepreneur and a business owner is so incredibly important. So yes, that's not LinkedIn, but it still applies, right, to the people that are going to be looking at his content. Building connections, networking, right? Using LinkedIn as a platform and the updates and features, right? So there's different ways to break that out. Now, for our agency, right, BYB agency, sometimes we share all different things, but it usually circulates around what it is that we do, right? Social media, content creation, personal branding, so on and so forth. So what I want to do from here, okay, is I just want to remind you guys, again, we have homework each and every day. We're going to go through some exercises on how we can actually come up with content ideas. But I want to plant the seed that part of your homework tonight is to actually think about your content topics that you're going to talk about. Okay. And again, call them content buckets, topics, whatever it might be. But what are the couple things, maybe 2 to 4 things, that you can talk about and obviously rotate within your content?
Now, again, if you can only come up with 1 or 2, completely fine.
Yep.
1 is better than none.
Yeah. And I actually was really funny one time. I worked with someone, years ago, and it's really interesting because some people go, oh, well, if I talk about the same thing and, won't people get sick of it? Or, you could literally post the same thing the entire month, and there's still going to be people who either haven't seen it or it's actually going to be really effective because people are going to definitely understand what it is that you do because that's what you're posting about. Okay. You could literally post the same thing in a couple different ways and it's actually not a bad idea. Okay. So we're going to dive in now on a couple different ways. Okay. And these are high level marketing exercises that companies do. Okay. So I'm going to teach you just a couple of these and how we can actually break things out. So one way to actually get started with thinking through what you want to post about, once you come up with your topics and your main focuses, underneath of that, think of all the different individual posts and piece of content that you can do, right? Pain points, what are some interesting things under that? Again, think about LinkedIn. What are the trends in LinkedIn? What are, the industry updates? What are new features? What are different ways to use LinkedIn, to help, clients and so on and so forth. So just doing a little bit of a brain dump and setting a timer can be really, really helpful. Now, again, it all goes back to starting with your zone of genius. Okay. And I'm going to show you the AI prompt, just kind of like the example here. If you're using ChatGPT here, using the prompt, give me 10 content ideas I can post about blank. Okay. So I used LinkedIn as an example. It came up with all these different topics. All right. So optimizing your LinkedIn profile, crafting a compelling LinkedIn headline, right? These are all things that Scott could
I could create a video for every single one.
He could create a video on every single one, or he could create an individual post. He could create an article. But again, for this training, we're just focusing on individual posts, but these are all great topics, right? Around LinkedIn. So after you focus on your area or your zone of genius, you can dig into, right, your content buckets or your content topics. So even within that, right, we dig in a little deeper. So if we're going to really dig into sharing more about LinkedIn profile optimization, great. What are some subtopics within that? Tips for creating a LinkedIn, compelling LinkedIn profile, optimizing, so on and so forth, right?
So what I want to say really quickly is the big statement that would consistently get brought up is I don't know what to talk about. I don't know what to post. And the fact of the matter is that with AI, especially ChatGPT, like just to give you an example, we have people in our mastermind that are starting their podcast and they're like, well, can I map out something for the entire year? And we said, yeah. So they asked ChatGPT, can you give me a weekly podcast episode topic for a podcast around X, Y, and Z? And what it did was it literally spat out 52 different podcast titles that could then prompt the idea process for that person to then create it moving forward.
Yep.
And everything is recorded. So you guys will be able to watch this back. So we announced that in the beginning.
Yeah. So one thing that I want you to keep in mind is stop, if you are currently doing this, please stop, right? We got to tweak things. We got to make it our own. AI and the output that AI gives us, it's like a sandwich, right? AI is the bun and you're the meat in the middle. Okay. So you want to obviously not just keep it as is. You want to add your own to it, right? You want to add your own zhuzh, right? Add statistics, facts, figures, be you. Okay. So for example, if I wanted, AI or ChatGPT to like give me like a nice little outline of something, make sure that you go in and you write it out. Guys, there are tools now. In fact, there's lots of different tools that are coming out where people could just, enter in your information. It can show right away if it's AI generated. So we're getting a little bit more savvy when it comes to that. And yes, AI can be wordy. Now, AI, you can train it to write more like you. Absolutely. You can do lots of things, right? You want to kind of coach it and work with it a little bit. The more content and the more information that you give it, the better it gets. But I still advise you, right? Don't let it take away your voice because you definitely want to, obviously, add your own spin to it as well. So you being the meat in the middle, share your personal experience, research, expertise, updated facts and figures, all that good stuff. Okay. So the big thing here is focus first on creating content that is going to provide your audience value. Okay. An example, sorry, you can actually skip that. No, it's okay. You can skip. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, one thing too, when you create content that provides value, it's a special bonus, right? If the reader, whenever they actually consume your content or they look at it, if they can do something, right? Maybe you share actionable steps, tools, content that can solve their problem. Maybe you teach them, like they're able to learn something, right? So providing evidence, facts, research, expert input. If they're able to feel something, your voice, perspective, opinion, trigger emotion, these are things, guys, AI can't always replicate.
Right.
Okay. Because it's not you. So just make sure that, again, you're adding your own personal touch to things.
So everybody clear so far? Just drop a Y or a yes in the chat. Remember, the AI output are the buns, but you are the meat in the middle. And that actually comes from a quote. I interviewed a guy on my podcast that has a PhD in AI. And he said AI is going to continue to advance and continue to be very helpful. But the fact of the matter is that you can use the output, but you still have to enter your own information in the middle to make it your own.
Absolutely. So, as we're also breaking out additional ideas to come up with content ideas, right? So I always say set a timer, right? For any of these exercises, as you're kind of brain dumping. And also, as I'm kind of talking through these little exercises, remember, right, this can be part of your workflow, right? You can do this, let's say, once a month, or you can even do it once a quarter, right? So some of these things, right, sitting down, setting a timer, and doing a little bit of research, guys, you can have all of your content planned out. You can have so much amazing content topics and stuff lined up. So in this one, it's set a timer and then just go to Google, right? You can search trends. So for example, social media trends. Okay. Then this popped up and it said right there, there's a new AI program called Perplexity.ai. That's actually like Google and ChatGPT combined.
It's amazing.
It's amazing, right? So that actually pulls up content just like Google, and it actually cites it and gives you all the information right then and there. So again, you can use either tool, Google, or something like Perplexity, which is free as well, perplexity.ai, and you can search, hey, what are the big and up and coming trends in the world of, health and wellness, so on and so forth. But go through and write those ideas down. Now, the next one is to brain dump, set a timer, and look at creators in your space. Okay. So I do this on Instagram. In fact, I always save different posts that I really like or I'm inspired by. I like going on LinkedIn. I like checking out on Facebook. I like to see what other people in my industry are up to, because again, it gives you really great ideas. I have, now obviously I have a team that can help support me in this, but if I was still all by myself, I still do this all by myself. I want to know what other people are talking about. I want to see what other people are really engaged and what, the audiences are finding interesting. The other thing, so one thing that I do every single morning is I listen to a podcast. Okay. So in my, I use Spotify, but I've got a little speaker, that I put, when I'm getting ready, it's always next to me, and I pick out a podcast for the morning. And I listen to different ones in my industry. So whether it be social marketing tips or updates, marketing, this morning, I really needed some mindset, so I listened to a little Mel Robbins. But you can listen to podcasts that are relevant in your industry to also, again, get some ideas and some insights. Okay. The other one, right? So this one is incredibly simple, but it's actually, in my opinion, sometimes the most effective. Write down on a piece of paper your audience. Okay. So who are the people that you are talking to? Who are the people that you're posting this content? And write down on the left side the problems that your audience has. Okay. All the problems. Let's go ahead, as it relates to obviously what it is that you do. So, not sure how to, let's say if you're a realtor, I'm not sure how to buy a house. I'm not sure the steps that I need to take. How do I get pre-qualified? How do I, what should I be concerned about? How do I, so on and so forth, right? Could be any questions, could be the most commonly asked questions that you get when people hire you. In fact, those are really, really good to break apart because you can get ahead of any of those questions.
The key is to being a solution-oriented person, meaning you want to highlight the pain points, the problems, the gaps, the holes that the audience that you have is having, and you want to fill those gaps with value-added content. So if you think about the end in mind, highlighting the problems and how you can help with your content, that'll allow you to bridge that gap even more. So if that's clear and if that makes sense, just drop a Y or a yes in the chat. Just want to make sure that the light bulbs are going off. Awesome.
Excellent. So, again, I want to get your gears going. Do not just get settled in and focus just on the AI output. Okay. Like, trust me, AI is amazing and I love it. Nobody loves it more than probably us. I mean, we love using it, but I want you guys to look up and around and also see, right? What is your audience engaging with, right? Using some of these other techniques, which again are what some of the biggest top marketing firms and people do, okay? Or some of these exercises that I give you. And it's so funny because in my book, the whole time, someone said it was really helpful. I talk about setting timers all the time. I'm a big fan of the Pomodoro timing technique, which is setting 20-minute, intervals, whatever it takes, guys, but give yourself a little time limit. And I promise you, just by sitting down, staying super focused and doing some of those things, you're going to have more than just a few content ideas. So that's the goal, right? Is to never run out of good content. Please don't overcomplicate this. Like I said, right? We're an expert or we're specialized in a certain area, right? We help people in a certain way, okay? So we want to make sure that obviously, we hone in and we're able to, teach people and it's going to make sense. Now I think, what's popping up on this slide. So I did want to share, I know we do have some members, in here that are currently using our social media scheduling platform. But one of the newest features in this past year that we've added is the AI writing assist feature. So if anyone has never seen BYB Social or heard about it, we're going to talk a little bit more about it tomorrow. But we do have our own social media scheduling tool that now does have AI. So you're able right in the tool to generate content pretty quickly. And then obviously, like we always recommend, you get to go back in there, get to tweak it, make it your own, and then obviously post it right there in the platform. So our goal is always to streamline things, make it simple. But again, definitely for all our current users, make sure that you guys check out the new AI writing feature. All right, so your homework for today, okay? Choose 2 to 4, okay? Doesn't have to be 4, could be 3, could be 2, could be 1, but choose 2 to 4 content buckets, topics that you can talk about, and I want you guys to post it in the Facebook group under Nancy's homework thread. Okay? Anything else you want to add?
No. Well, again, the idea of this, if you can't come up with 2, if you can't come up with 3, if you can't come up with 4, come up with 1. Like literally 1 is better than none. Everybody has to be clear on what some of their content buckets are, and obviously your zone of genius, and just think about it. And then again, there's going to be a pinned post at the top of the Facebook group. It should be up there in about 5 minutes. It's going to say day 1 Nancy's homework thread. Drop in the comments below. My content bucket contents are, my content buckets are, and then you can list 1, you can list 2, you can list 3, you can list 4. It's completely up to you. We just want you to get those wheels turning because we're going to use the output that you guys have as far as your content buckets to further what we're going to be doing tomorrow.
Yeah, and absolutely. If you guys are stuck, okay, you can search. In fact, probably even at this point, Google can help you. If you're like, oh, I need content ideas, just Google it. Or you can go to ChatGPT and you can ask, I need some content topic ideas or content buckets for, my business. Here's what I do. And you can share a little bit about it. And then again, it's not an exact science, right? I always say in marketing, it's kind of like an art and a science together. But, choose what resonates most with you. And the other common question that I get often is, well, what if I want to share, my personal stuff? Or what if I want to share? Guys, you can pepper that in too, right? You can absolutely, let's say you're fired up on a Friday. In fact, we're going to go over a little more in depth tomorrow about how you can actually space out and choose different types to post on different days. But maybe on Fridays, you post stuff that's a little more personal, that you're excited for the weekend, or you read an amazing book, or you're really excited about a new podcast that you're listening to, or a new recipe, whatever it might be.
Yep.
Okay. It doesn't mean that we have to silence ourselves in those areas as well. We just want to make sure that the majority of content and the way that you're putting out there, again, does not confuse people.
Yep. And again, just really quickly, this is really honing in on having a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset basically is staying comfortable where you are, not willing to change, not willing to try new things. That's going to have you getting left behind. We don't want anyone left behind. We want you guys moving forward. And the easiest way to do that is to shift that mindset to a growth mindset where you're willing to change, you're willing to try new things, you're willing to push yourself, you're willing to get uncomfortable. And if you're willing to do all those things, literally the possibilities are endless with what you can create. So remember, the homework has to be done by 12:30 tomorrow afternoon to count towards winning one of the 2 homework prizes, which we will announce at the end of tomorrow's day number 2. This will be posted obviously in the guides section in the Facebook group, but the replay will be emailed out tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. It's going to be a replay link. You can just save that link. All of the replays are there. So again, we hope you enjoy day number 1. We are looking forward to day number 2. Do that homework, get the job done, get clear, and we're going to keep moving this train forward. So love and gratitude.